Hi Brollies, Marvin here from TechBroll.com, where we do unboxings, reviews, and sexy B-rolls. And today I'll share with you my experience building my first legit custom mechanical keyboard featuring one of the most affordable Arisu/Alice-like layout custom kit, the YMDK wings. Now, I've built custom keyboards before using affordable bare-bones kit, but this one involves a lot more in the process, including lubing the switches, modifying the stabilizers, and soldering, and I'll share all my thoughts about those in this video. I'd say this is probably my favorite keyboard right now, especially with the awesome Gazzew Boba U40 switches. With that being said, let's get into it. Alright, so let's start with a quick unboxing of the YMDK wings so that you can have an idea what comes in the package. Upon opening the plain white box, we have foam protection, and then after that we have this plastic full of accessories, the PCB with a few extra diodes, and the aluminum case. Inside the plastic we have the USB Type-C cable with these jeans-like sleeves, and we also have two circular stands with rubber feet. We also have a bunch of screws to put the keyboard together, some extra rubber feet, and transparent screw-in stabilizers. Now, I'm not sure what brand this is, but it has transparent housing and stem, gold wires, gold screws, and red spacers. Now, looking at the casing, it is entirely made out of solid aluminum, and with that, the build quality is really good. In terms of the layout, we have an Arisu or Alice-like layout, which is a non-split ergo layout. Flipping it on the back side, we have a translucent lining, so I guess we'll have some sort of illumination right here. We also have here the cutout for the USB Type-C port, and the good thing here is that it is right at the center of the gap. Small attention to detail, but a very important one for people with some sort of OCD like myself. Flipping it on the front, again, we have the translucent lining that actually spans around the keyboard. Turning it on its side, as you can tell, the profile of the case is straight, but thankfully, the package includes a couple of stands for that ergonomic form factor. And turning it all over at the bottom, we have a very clean design right here, and as you can tell, out of the box, the top and bottom casing are held together by a couple of screws. Overall, for a relatively affordable aluminum chassis, I don't see any significant imperfections here. Obviously, we have to take this casing apart by removing the two screws. So we have the bottom part, the acrylic sheet, and the top part with an integrated plate. Now here's the PCB, and like I said earlier, we have a couple of replacement diodes right here. The YMDK wings, as far as I know, is only available with a non-hot swap PCB, which means you'll have to solder switches or have them solder it for you. And because I want to learn and experience it myself, I decided to do it on my own, and honestly, this is going to be my first time soldering some switches on a mechanical keyboard. Now, the PCB features a south-facing switch orientation, which means we won't have any issues with keycap compatibility. Now, for this build, I'm going to use the Gazzew Boba U40 switches from Zion Studios PH, and like with soldering, this is also going to be my first time lubing some switches, and it's quite a challenge, especially that my first time is with a tactile switch, which I know I should be careful of so that the tactility won't be affected. I decided to use Tribosys 3203 lube and followed Taeha Types tutorial on how to lube a tactile switch. I tried my best to lube the switches with just the right amount and avoid the legs of the stem to preserve the tactility as much as possible. All in all, I lubed the bottom housing, but I didn't lube the leaf because that will get in contact with the legs. I also lubed the stem, the top housing, and the spring. I'd say at first it's kinda intimidating, but as I get the hang of it, it is actually quite easy and one of the most relaxing things that you can do when it comes to mechanical keyboard modification, and I think for the most part, I did a pretty decent job here as I was able to feel a significant difference in terms of both the feel and sound of the Gazzew Boba U40. I just need to practice more to be consistent. I actually live streamed the entire process on our Facebook page, which you can check out here, but take note that it is in our native Filipino language. Now, the next thing I did, which I also live stream on our Facebook page, is I tested the PCB to make sure all the connections are okay. All you have to do is plug in the PCB on your computer, open a switch tester app, and probe the connections using a tweezer. Then after that, I modified the stack screw-in stabilizers using a method I learned from Zion Studios PH. Essentially, I wrapped both sides of the wire with micropore tape, then I lubed the housing and stem with Krytox 205 grade 0, put some Teflon tape on the PCB, which honestly I don't think is quite necessary, but I still did nonetheless. And then I lubed the wire with 22058 dielectric grease, put all the parts together, and install it on the PCB. Now the question is, did it work? Well, yeah, for the most part it did, and for my first time, I think it's not bad at all. Later we'll do a proper sound test. The next step is soldering the switches, and since this is a critical step and this is my first time, I didn't live stream it so that I can focus. I installed the PCB first on the integrated plate, put some switches around the corners, and started soldering. Once the PCB is properly secured to the integrated plate, I installed the rest of the switches and continued soldering. And like with lubing the switches, at first it was intimidating, especially the fact that I don't have any spare PCBs. But in the end, it was also quite easy, and after a few switches, I was able to quickly breeze through the rest, and for the most part, the quality of my soldering is fairly adequate, I believe, with a few blobs here and there that I had to desolder and properly solder again. Luckily, I didn't burn anything and all the keys worked properly. The last step, of course, is assembling the entire keyboard, which is the most exciting and rewarding part of the build. First, I installed the circular stand, put in the additional rubber feet, installed the acrylic layer on the top housing, and cover it with the bottom housing. Now, all that is left is to install the keycaps, and for this build, I decided to use the KBDFans and PPBT keycaps because I'm going after a very clean white build. I also like the XDA profile, and I thought the NP profile is quite similar with a larger top surface, and I want to try it out as well. Now, since this keyboard has wings on its name, and that the design itself somehow resembles a wing-like shape, I decided to make this an owl-themed custom keyboard. And it was actually perfect, since I have an Arctic Owlbear Artisan keycap from Keystroke Artisan, and I also added the Steady Octopus and a white Killjoy Artisan keycap from Keys. I'm also going to use a custom coiled cable from Escape Cables that was made specifically for this build, and to top it all off, I also purchased a custom wrist rest from Iron Meets Wood, and I had it engraved with some owl images as well. I'll put some links below to where you can get all of these accessories so that you can check them out. Overall, I learned a lot with this simple build, especially about lubing switches, modifying stabilizers, and soldering. I feel like I now have the confidence to build more custom keyboards, and that's exactly the plan. As for the typing experience using the YMDK wings, I still have to put some time in to familiarize myself with this layout, but I don't think that would be too difficult since I'm coming from a split keyboard layout. I would say though that although the typing feel of this keyboard is stiff, I really like the loud, thwacky sound of the overall combination of all the components of this build. By the way, huge thanks to Zion Studios PH, Iron Meets Wood, Keystroke Artisans, Keys, and Escape Cables for all the accessories for this build. Some were given to me for free, and some I paid for, just to be transparent to you guys. Again, let me know in the comments below what you think about this build. I have an upcoming build soon. I think it would be the Gerald 65 and more, so subscribe if you're interested with that. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Have a great day guys, you're awesome.